I recently showed you a first look at Google's new search engine that's supposed to come out later this year. Now I've actually gained access to at least the first release in Google Labs of that, and I wanted to show you some cool things. I got to play around with it, and a couple of things really stood out to me. So I want to keep you updated because this is really going to have an impact on SEO, on blogging, and what we're able to do with our content. So buckle up. I'm going to show you a couple of cool things that actually have me a little bit excited. All right, let's go take a look. So I'm just gonna click here. This is to get to Search Labs. If you haven't already joined and you wanna play around with this, go ahead, you can click that button and you can join the waitlist. And then you can start playing around with it too. Here I've gone ahead and I've turned all of these on, but the search generative experience, this is kind of one of the big things that's changing. Again, supposedly later this year when Google comes out with their new update. Here I can click try an example and it'll show me one that they've contrived. Basically, they took what makes the perfect cup of coffee. That was the search query. You'll notice that as of right now, it's still showing a featured snippet. I'm not sure when this fully rolls out if they're going to show featured snippets or not, because that's essentially what this is up here. This whole section up at the top, they're calling this the AI-powered snapshot. And essentially, it's giving you an AI-generated answer. So these are just random tips, right? Use cold water, filtered water, 1 part coffee to 16 parts water, just a bunch of tips, right? And these came from all over the place. But why is that content featured? I think that it's featured because essentially these articles is where the AI got this information. Now you can click up here and it'll expand and it'll show you a whole bunch of different articles that tell you the different aspects of, see, look here, all of these different tips, like where do we get these tips from? Oh, well, we got it from there. These 4 articles all said to use this ratio. This article said to use filtered water. This article said these things, and on and on and on and on. It breaks it down for you, which is kind of cool. You can see that, but these are where this information came from. So as we move forward, it seems to me that it would be really beneficial to try to be one of these. And so the question is, how do we make sure that happens? I had a hypothesis as I went into this, and my hypothesis was this. The same principles that got your content featured as a featured snippet in the past, and even still today, the current search engine will be the normal, right? So featured snippets are still a thing, and the majority of searches today, according to a study that we just recently did, the majority of searches today still have a featured snippet. So I think it's absolutely still worth continuing to create content and having those little answer targets in there that are specifically intended to win a featured snippet. And again, my hypothesis being that that content is part of what helps determine what shows up here. My reason for believing that is, more often than not, Google, just like everybody else, doesn't want to reinvent the wheel. And so the same algorithm that was finding and picking out little snippets of content to feature at the top of the SERP, I think the exact same methodology is being used to pick out the content on the web, pull out those little sections, and feature it here at the top of the SERP. It's just that now an AI is generating this, and now they're picking it from more than one article. Kind of cool. Again, we're still seeing a featured snippet here, in this case in video form, where they've picked a specific clip of a video. I've seen a couple where it's still like a paragraph snippet. They still have the people also ask, I don't know if these are still gonna be here once this is all said and done and this whole thing rolls out. But as of right now, it's still there. Now, in order to test my hypothesis, I decided to try a search that I didn't intend, or I didn't expect to be successful at all. And I'll show you what I mean by successful. So here's the search query. When is the best time to buy an ATV? The reason I'm picking that query is a few months ago, I wrote an article based on that query. I wrote one, Nathan ChatGPT wrote another one, and we compared the two to see which was better. You got to see me write the article, you got to read the article. We published it on terraintreaders.com. This is our project charity website. It's a website that still doesn't have its homepage built out. It's a website that still only has one article published. We've written a bunch of other ones that are still kind of working their way through the editing process, but that one I went ahead and wrote and published all at once. And so it's been sitting there lonely on that website with no other content. And yet, watch this. It's generating its AI-powered snapshot. And here it says the best time to buy an ATV is in late fall or early winter. And I mean, check that out. They just give me, this is basically a featured snippet. Now you'll notice with the featured snippet that we have today in the normal search experience, only one of these 3 articles was actually featured. But with the AI-powered snapshot, they're actually featuring multiple, which means that by writing a good answer target, I actually have an increased likelihood of having my content featured at the top. Now, I probably won't get as many clicks when my content is featured as I would if I were the only one, but I have a much higher chance of getting featured there. And when you're featured here, you're more likely to show up somewhere there on the first page. And there it is, terraintraders.com. Check that out. The second article featured right there, it's literally the only article on that entire website, and there it is. And when I click on it, just like when there's a featured snippet, what does Google do? They highlight the section of the article that's relevant to the search query and that directly answers the question, and it is my bolded answer target. That to me is sufficient evidence to continue moving forward writing really good answer targets, essentially really concise, clear, and thorough answers to specific search queries, and including that within a good, thorough article. If you read through this article, you'll find that it has a lot of the hallmarks of what makes a really good article. It also just has this really good answer target. So one of my first takeaways from playing around with the new Google search engine is this. You can continue to write good answer targets. You don't need to go through your articles and remove the answer targets you have because with Google's new search engine, it's somehow gonna hurt your SEO to have an answer target or a bolded paragraph or just a really good concise answer. The reality is, it appears that Google is using the same methodology to determine what content to feature at the top of the SERP that they were using to choose featured snippets. So continue to do that, and I think you're only going to continue to see good things happen with your content. Now, I'm really excited to continue to test out a lot of different things using the new Google search engine, and as they release more and more tools and make this what's in labs here today start to look more and more and more like what is actually going to be released to the public in the future, I'll continue to do a lot of different tests and try lots of different things and share with you everything that I learned so that you're as prepared as possible with your content to be able to thrive in the future of Google search, as well as, on all the other search engines, because they all like really good content. Stay tuned and keep creating, because I think the future is really bright for those of us who are willing to create really good, unique, and helpful content.